many ways that an organism can be classified, but one of the easiest ways to visualize the relatedness of multiple organisms is by organizing them into a phylogenetic tree. To demonstrate this, I have some books of mine that I'm going to organize into a tree based on phenotype. Ideally, this would be done based on a comparison of genotype and actual organisms, but obviously books don't have DNA or a genotype, but they can be grouped based on size, color, genre, whether they're hardback or paperback, and many more categories. These books are going to function as OTUs, or operational taxonomic units. Basically, these are the individual species, strains, or even different alleles of books. Let's start with these two books. These books are the most similar. They are both pocket-sized paperback crime novels, and they're also by the same author. This is going to be our first node, and is also an example of cladogenesis, which is when a common ancestor gives rise to two new species rather than a transition to a single new species along a single lineage, like an anagenesis. Now, I also have another book by this author, but it is hardback and it is quite a bit larger, so this is going to get its own branch. But it's still pretty closely related because it has the same author and genre. Now, these spots on the tree are examples of an internal node, and they represent the most recent common ancestor for these books. The most recent common ancestor is the last shared species in the evolutionary line that two or more species arose from. Let's keep going. These books are both fiction as well, but are classic novels. They are also from the same print collection of classic books from Barnes & Nobles, and are closely related, but not as much as the first three books because they were written at different times by different people. Since they are closer to each other than anything else, I'm going to put them on their own node. I also have another classic novel, but it is very different in size, and it is not a Barnes & Nobles classic, so it will get its own branch. Now, so far, all of these books have been fiction, so I think they all share a common fiction ancestor. But I do have a few nonfiction books as well. They're more closely related to each other than any of the other books, even though they're about different topics and are different sizes. So they'll have their own node. Since fiction versus nonfiction is basically the biggest distinction in books, these two are the most distantly related from all the other books. Now, to help establish the root of the tree, which is the most recent common ancestor for everything in the tree, we're going to look at an outgroup. An outgroup is more distantly related, but is helpful in determining root characteristics. In this case, the notebook looks similar to many books. It has a cover and pages, but it has no title or author, and there's nothing printed in it, unlike in actual books. Even though I've been drawing this tree like a rooted tree, which means that the distances between the books is known and we know how they diverge, we don't really know where the tree is rooted. Without an outgroup, an unrooted tree could look like this, or even this. The outgroup is an OTU, which separated earlier than the other OTUs being studied, and helps to tell us that the root of this tree of books has pages and a cover, but has words printed in it, unlike the notebook, and is most likely located here. And this is our final phylogenetic tree.